SWOCBC, what are you doing here? This is a combat zone. It's restricted. Ease off on your main thruster and head over to patreon.com/SWOCBC for episodes of our all-new series, Inside the Insider, where the gang explores articles from every single issue of the official Star Wars Insider fan magazine in order and get an even closer look at how Star Wars and its fandom have evolved over the years. New episodes with each public upload months earlier for patrons. Red 24, Red 30, follow me to patreon.com/SWOCBC for the latest episode of SWOCBC. Inside the Insider today. In target range. It's ahead. All ships jump to light speed.
Captain Tarpals' Sirius XM Disc Crate Record Store Dive Show is brought to you by viewers.
What did you just say?
We're Sirius XM, but also NPR as well. And PBS.
Captain Tarpals has a Patreon-funded Sirius XM show where he dives deep into reggae crates.
I don't even know who's Captain Tarple?
Captain Tarpals? You guys don't know that guy? That famous Star Wars character, Captain Tarpals?
No.
He's like a responsible Gungan who works for Boss Nass. And
is he the guy who's like Jar Jar?
There's one other guy. There's
the other guy. The other guy who's in Jar Jar.
There's Jar Jar.
He's like
there's
Jar
Boss
Jar.
Nass, and then there's Captain Tarpals.
We're gonna die. That guy.
Would you believe that guy has a show on Sirius XM?
I would.
He's had it since 2006.
What else has he been doing?
He keeps them all in line. He's the only Gungan that I believe could
He's on after Howard. It's crazy.
Yeah, and he's just a captain.
Yeah.
That's as high as up as he is.
Yep. He
How about
broadcasts
that?
from deep under the sea.
From Otogunga.
Yeah.
From Otogunga University. From Otogunga State University Radio Department. Hey guys, welcome back to SWOCBC Q&A. It's the post Lando Q&A.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's really the post.
Yeah, we're
recording this between, but they've only read and seen the first.
You've listened to all of the Lando, but you have not. We have not.
Yes,
we have not met again, where we have heard about what you have thought of all of the Lando. You get it?
And our thoughts on Lando.
Yeah. But by the time they are hearing this, they'll have heard our thoughts on Lando. We haven't heard their thoughts on Lando.
The discussion post through this will only go up to the first one.
We are in a tight ship here, just like Lando Calrissian's Millennium Falcon, as ran by Vuffy Raw. Am I right?
Sick reference.
Yeah. Hey, man.
So sick.
But you know the deal with this show. We do usually on the show a book club where we are going, almost as an experiment through all the books and things that are, TV shows, comic books, everything there is out there in the Star Wars universe before Disney bought it. So in the Legends universe. And today we're just taking a break from that little Q&A as we do from time to time because we are run by contributions at patreon.com/SWOCBC, which is where listeners like you can go and participate in discussions about the stuff that we talk about on the damn show. Yeah. Because you know what? I bet you we go deeper on this stuff than almost any podcast around. I was listening to our Return of the Jedi podcast about the movie the other day, And that podcast went places that I don't think many podcasts about Return of the Jedi, the movie, go. It's nice because it gives us a large breadth of things for you guys to want to respond to. Davis, the webmaster, has been putting questions up as we've come back from a little hiatus, trying to get back on schedule after the fires and stuff. There's a lot of episodes to get into. I don't know. There's been like 3 or 4 that have come out since last time that we had a thing, right?
Yeah. We're talking Jedi novel, book, and then, no, those are the same things. Jedi.
The novelization. The junior
of the
novelization.
book.
Yeah.
The movie.
The Cliff Notes.
And then Lando
1.
and the Mind Harp of Sharu.
Yeah. There is still another Return of the Jedi coming. We still have to read the comic of Return of the Jedi.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Like, I'm excited to read it, but
By the time, like, Lando is a great, you've been like eating so well, you just need that shitty little meal, and then you get the great one again, hopefully, with the comics.
yeah. But the thing with this show is there's a nice mix because while the discussion questions are Patreon only, of course, because you also get the outlines and lots of other stuff every time we put out an episode, you can also just, as a member of the listening public, go to patreon.com/SWOCBC, and there is free posts every once in a while that Davis posts that are the Q&A that you can just come and ask us whatever. Obviously, there's
The more Star Wars related,
like,
the
the
more
better
they'll
the-
actually
yeah.
get on
Yeah.
you. But you
There's no
technically,
yeah.
nothing is stopping you from
there's no
asking
guarantee.
anything.
Yeah, but we're here. We're ready to answer some questions for you. Let's get
Physical.
big bomb bad question answering.
Okay.
Hit it, Captain.
All right, first one is from Chris, the Lost Scotsman. Hi, team. Love the show and the different takes on the galaxy far, far away. For context, I am nearly 50, and A New Hope was the first film I remember watching and pretty much dominated my life as it led to an interest in space, then science, and now I'm the leader of an R&D group in the UK.
Ooh, whoa.
How does the team feel about, a little overqualified for this podcast, I would say, Chris. Making us a little nervous here. How does the team feel about intentionally non-canonical entries to the Star Wars media, such as presented in Visions? Personally, I think Visions has been a breath of fresh air, and while I feel some are better than others, I think they have only benefited the Star Wars experience. Personal highlights for me are Au's song, Star Wars Nintendo Games Come to Life. I don't know what that is, but that sounds cool. The Village Bride, a fascinating glimpse into the Force as experienced by other cultures, and Sith, a visual and audio masterpiece. On the topic of audio, I will lay a slight criticism at your door. How could you review The Return of the Jedi and not talk about the incredible score, especially the emotion that it brought to Luke's frenzy against Darth Vader? While the book may have described elements the movie didn't bring to the screen, the score did more than enough heavy lifting, and it wasn't mentioned at all. A minor gripe, and I still really enjoy your content. May the force of others be with you.
You know what? That's right on the money. I always really like the part where Luke kind of goes off and then the score, the like choir, the chorus like builds. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's
I almost
Williams
feel
kills
like the score is so good across the board that you almost don't need to talk. Like, I don't know, it's like so obvious, but you're wrong.
Yeah. I will say that if you want to know what Star Wars would be like without the score, go look up the Aeronauts video, Star Wars Without Williams.
Incredible.
It's one of the funniest. It's literally the throne room scene at the end of the first movie where they walk down. And if you remove the music from that scene, it's insane. Everyone's just standing there. There's like a dude coughing in the background. Chewie roars. Everyone's smiling at each other because no one talks. It's crazy.
That's also true though of a lot of movies.
Yeah,
but
it's just very nice. It's a very nice scene, just as an example.
Yeah. I don't know when the correct time is to like gush about John Williams, but let me tell you something. The way that like public opinion has gone about Star Wars in the past like 50 years as it's been around, doesn't really apply to John Williams. Mm-mm. John Williams
untouchable.
John Williams has pretty much been just turning in home run after home run.
Actually, hold on. There is a critique. I remember my mom watched episode 3.
Okay.
And during the fight scene at the end, my mom looks at me and goes, "The music's a little dramatic." So there you go.
Oh my God.
There you go, John Williams.
John Williams, get fucked. Sorry.
Yeah. She was like, the fall of Darth Vader?
Not impressed.
Well, that said, she did really want to go to the John Williams concert they had at the Disney Concert Hall where it was his birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And that was amazing. At the end, he stood up and he performed, or he conducted Superman, the Superman theme. on his birthday. It was great. It was amazing.
I just want to I want everybody to do themselves a favor and go watch the clip of Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting where they just like don't touch each other for like
Where they just twirl.
yeah, for like 6 seconds.
You know what? It's because they didn't want to fight, dude.
Yeah.
They're brothers.
That was a very good like kind of like
That's what happens when you both parry at the same. You just like trying to parry each other and it's not happening.
You can just see like how like Ryan Johnson ran with one idea and how like I guess George Lucas directed that movie, how he like ran with it in a totally other way with the like not touching lightsaber fighting. Yeah, I mean, shout outs to the score, of course. John Williams in general across movies, not just Star Wars, like has this like essence to him that I really love. That's like this sort of like fantasy, smoky, sort of mystic essence to him that I really enjoy. And I don't even know that Star Wars is the greatest showcase of it, of his like own brandness that I'm talking about. But like, man, he has done music for some of the movies that you don't even realize. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is The Long Goodbye with Elliot Gould.
Oh, sure.
It's like his first movie, and he wrote like a song with lyrics, and it's just
A different.
the dude has multiple angles and facets, and if you only just heard Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and Harry Potter, like expand.
What's crazy and proves the longevity of Williams' music is they spent 10 years trying to change the Superman theme, and the new trailer literally just brought it back.
Yeah.
Like, screw it. Just bring it back. We'll just make a guitar, whatever. Like,
You
that's
can't-
how
you can't beat
good
that.
he is.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
The question though was, how do we feel about intentionally non-canonical entries?
Have
to
you
Star
guys
Wars media?
seen those shows?
I watched
the animated
I watched
stuff.
the first thing that came out, like the first one that had like
the samurai one?
Samurai
yeah.
one was dope. That was
I watched
cool.
the first episode.
I watched the first set of
and
them.
I loved it. And then I don't know why I never watched any other episodes. So I came away from, I think that was Visions. Like, I loved it. And especially with how we talk about like canon, what really does canon mean when there's so many people making stories over such a long time that I love and am on the side of, I've converted to what I feel like you preached, Alex, for since the old podcast about like having things that just are not canon or whatever is like good. You can just be free to express cool things and nobody can be angry. Like you can just do whatever you want, tell the story that you want to tell, and then be like, just enjoy it for what it is without it having to worry about how it fits into stuff.
Yeah, we constantly talk, and not even just us, but like Star Wars fans in general constantly talk about how Star Wars is a setting. Like, let's get rid of Luke and Leia and Han and stuff like that. Like, let's just like see Star Wars, the aesthetic, and stuff like this is perfect for that because you're just so there's no stakes. And I love the idea of it finishing and you being like, why isn't that canon? Or like, you know, how far we got away. Cause like some of the stuff that we have like hit over the years that we've now been doing the show, like in some of the Marvel comics and some of the stuff that's like off tone. I feel like if I was going into it with the understanding that it was not canon, I would even be more open-minded. I'm not the guy you need to preach to about this. I'm always going in ready to like find what the thing is doing, you know, but I feel like there's a lot of resistance in Star Wars fans to like things that try to say something or do something with Star Wars that's not just telling the story. But I think by removing canon from the equation, I think you can kind of explore that stuff safely and we can all agree that, yeah, like it would be sick if there was like a samurai with a fucking laser sword, even if it doesn't necessarily fit in the same world where Yoda exists or whatever, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's dope to me.
There's a weird problem with the new stuff that when it first came out, they were saying everything that was old is gone, it's legends, and the new stuff we're creating is canonical. So when they started doing things like those 40th anniversary books and all that other stuff, it was so hit or miss. You would be like, so is this
real?
terrible
Yeah.
thing canonical? Is the monster in the water a Force user?
Yeah.
That was like, Luke, save yours. Like, is that canonical? And of course, there's no answer. But they were like, all the new stuff, it's canonical. It's like, it's really hard to get behind that kind of stuff when sometimes it's done goofily. And if they were like, no, this is just for fun, then all right. But again, they were like, these stories tell the backstory of things you never thought you knew.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, some of them are cool. I like the one where Yoda gets to meet with Obi-Wan over those different, there were like 3 stories that were about Yoda and Obi-Wan kind of telepathically talking. And I was like, that's fun.
It's like by saying it's canon, you're trying to justify why it exists in the tapestry of like a larger story. And that's like so much weird pressure to put on yourself.
And it's pressure to put on fans because they have to care. They have to want to be invested in it. And if it doesn't land, you've now ruined something you asked them to be invested in.
Now that's what happens.
Yeah. And that sucks. And that, of course, is why there's a lot of angry, negative feedback about it, because it's like, this is the new Star Wars. And it's like, well, you could have just said, this is a Star Wars tale. Doesn't mean that it's the real stuff. Like, I don't know. I think that's one of the biggest drawbacks of the new stuff. But this kind of thing, where they do visions and stuff, that I love that. I love it. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's silly, but every time it's interesting because you got amazing studios to like develop something that isn't, it's for fun.
Yeah, I would love if that discussion about canon didn't happen so often.
Yes, big same.
Yeah. And I don't know, again, as like a kid, it didn't matter that much to me. I don't know that I like needed to cross different things off in my head. It could all just kind of exist, and it was exciting, and
I think the big difference about the 80s and 90s and early 2000s to some extent was that aside from the movie, none of it was really canon. It was the expanded universe. It was, everyone said it could be whatever.
They're never going to like call back to like something that was just in a book in a movie.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was the interesting thing was that all of the books started to fall in line. There was a period in the early 90s, we'll probably get there, where the books kind of are all over the place, lore-wise. And then people just decided this is the canon, and they kept running with it. And they're like, yeah, you know what? Those two do have kids. And that's, they're Force users, and they kept it going, and it established some canon, but it was never real. Like the stuff we're reading, all the stuff is just expanded, fun stuff, and it doesn't necessarily mean
the ambition,
this is what happened.
Yeah, the ambition wasn't there, or the notion that was going to be like. I don't think anybody ever thought when approving the Lando books that like Lando will have had to have done those things,
right?
Yeah.
Even with Thrawn, like the biggest book out there for Star Wars, everyone was like, "Oh, I would love that to be canon." They weren't like, "Oh, that is canon. That's what happened." They're like, "Man, wouldn't it be cool if Thrawn showed up in a movie?" Like the movies were it. That was it.
And it almost still kind of is like basically just if it's on Disney Plus, it's canon, and everything else is kind of bonus.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what Disney did. Disney was like, everything's canon. Everything. And, doing that means that we end up with Stardust. And it's like, why do we need this book?
I'd love to see a crossover go the other way. Like the Old Republic, or the whatever it's called, the High Republic. We'll see what happens with that. Like was what's it called set during the High Republic?
The Acolyte?
Yeah.
Yes.
And do we care?
I mean, we're not going to get any more, so it definitely brought some characters that are important to the lore.
Are we like as a movie going public?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think people do care.
Yeah,
I know Disney did, but I don't think the audience cared.
I will say that I did not engage with the High Republic just because I wasn't into Disney Star Wars, but I liked the idea of the High Republic. I just wish they went like further back and not Yode'd it. And I think that if you were into it, the way that it started to get bigger and you'd see it in games, like I think Force, what is the one that came out with Kyle?
Survivor.
Like,
Survivor, yeah.
That dipped into it, the way that more major media dipped into it. Like if I was a High Republic person, that would have been tight. So I'm sure there's tons of people out there who were like, High Republic, here
but
we go.
It's making a splash. Like, you know how like Wakanda, like we mention it in the movies, and even though it's existed for years,
everyone's
and years,
like,
but
Wakanda
suddenly,
forever.
Suddenly we care about Wakanda in the world. Like today, we can see like, oh, it made an impact. We know about Wakanda now.
I don't know that that's the case with the High Republic, and I wish I could explain why. But people in the Star Wars fandom are still talking about Ahsoka. They're still talking about Thrawn. They're talking about Andor now.
Maybe I should use an example that's not like the first time that we've had like an entire civilization made for like black people in superhero movies, because it's obvious why Wakanda took off, because it's like this other thing. But like let's say even something more obscure like the Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's just weirdness. Mm-hmm. It's just obscurity, right? I think that's the thing that's interesting about the High Republic, is that it's so obscure of a thing.
The thing is it's like, it's not though. I think Davis is right. The idea of saying we're going to make it a different setting, but for some reason keep like Yoda and Carrie, it still connects it in a way that I'm like, no, you should have just gone completely different and given us completely new, so that it's a different thing for people to focus on and enjoy. I have no idea why they were like, and Yoda's there.
They should have just made it.
That's like, look, I am 100% jaded from working in the industry that I work in. So like, I feel like it's quite obvious that they like had to make it kind of feel like some producer or somebody was like, we got to have like some crossover for whatever.
It's like D&D Star Wars.
It feels like the prequel era Jedi. Like visually, what I saw on Acolyte and other stuff, it felt very prequel-y. Old Republic is like something else. I mean, there are like Jedi robe wearing people, but like
you'll see
the forces,
how
the
different
other
it is.
stuff. It's like, yo, this is Star Wars. They still have this stuff, but this is like a different fucking thing.
You'll see how different it is when we get there. Like, listener, if you have not been to those comic books before,
the old Republic is so cool.
That's some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of that. Let's move on. The name is Mr. Pipes. Feel free to share on the show or trim down to your heart's delight. I am going to just trim down a little bit. I take a little detour in the courtship of Princess Leia at the end because my 12-year-old me was not sure what to make of that mess at the time. My burning question is, what Legends/EU story do you most suspect you are going to reconsider for good or ill? You guys have talked a lot about what works and what doesn't in the proto-canon, great term, Alex, as well as what ideas in the proto-canon most feel like Star Wars as you remember it from your own favorite readings in the EU. So what story do you really want to journey into once more and really want to see if it stands the test of time, or particularly want the others to see because it's just super strange and scratch that weird itch that you suspect only you have?
Which book is Courtship the book with the Witches of Dathomir?
The Courtship of Princess Leia is literally the one with that prince who shows up. I sold her.
Yeah, but like, what's the one that has the one with the witches?
The Black.
When I read, is it the glove? Is it the glove?
No, the Black Fleet Crisis.
I don't. Whatever that book is, where the witches show up. As a kid, I was like, this is so stupid. I hate this. And the older I get, the more I'm like, that's so cool. They're so cool. Why did I? But I also think maybe. And again, I'm going to give Disney credit on this. They really fleshed out the Witches of Dathomir in a way that's fun. And now I'm like, yo, they're actually kind of awesome. But also that was Lucas, because before, when it was on Clone Wars, they had the witches. And I was like, okay. But I remember being a kid and be like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't for
me. In general, like the sort of like non-military, big, sweeping, battle-y ones, I would just ignore. Like character pieces and stuff like that. Like I just recently went through this list and like went pretty far in to like see a bunch of other like stuff that's coming from like way down the line. And like the stuff that I'm the most excited for right now is stuff like there's 4 one-shots that are about Jabba the Hutt that are like coming out at some point in the 90s that are like awesome one-shots that are like probably like pretty complicated adult stories about Jabba the Hutt that as like a 12-year-old, there's no way I'm going to sit there and read 4 one-shots about a fat guy who's doing business, right?
Sure.
Or
yeah, I would not have. That probably would not have been the thing that
like stuff.
I
like
wanted
that.
Cool Guy.
Yeah, I'm excited for that type of stuff. I want like the tales of Mos Eisley. I want the
books that they just like look like movie covers that had the big 3 on them. I like those ones I read.
Those are the ones that I was all about. Like, you know,
or like X-Wing or like something like that.
Yeah, we keep talking about the Yuuzhan Vong and the New Jedi Order.
That's actually much later in the.
And we're excited for that. But yeah.
The question isn't what are you most excited for? It's what are you most excited to take a look at?
Yeah.
For who hated the new Jedi Adventures, is that Jesse that you like did not like
The
them?
ones that are much later where
The
they
new
get
Jedi
to
Order?
like
Jedi Order?
yeah, they start adding some truly insane stuff. It's fine, but at the time as a kid, I was like, this isn't my Star Wars. I'm curious if now I appreciate it much more. There's one that I'm trying to find, and I don't know. I'm trying to remember what it was, but the whole plot was there was a fleet that was missing.
Is it not the Black Fleet Crisis? The Truce at Bakura.
Yes,
book one of the-
I think it's maybe it's Ambush at Corellia.
That's part of a trilogy too, I think.
There's one where it was
Jedi Search, Dark Apprentice is a book. Courtship of Princess Leia is a book.
It was a Han Solo Lando Calrissian book. It didn't have any Jedi stuff in it, as far as I remember. I also might be getting them confused because the Missing Fleet, I think, is also the Thrawn trilogy. So I just don't quite remember. But it was this weird book where it just came off as boring because it was Han and Lando, but I think mostly Lando. And at the time, I was really also reading the old Jedi stories where it was literally the lightsabers that had a backpack with them.
Yeah.
And so I was super into the Sith and the Jedi and crazy stuff. So when I got a book that was, hey, we're just being smugglers, it bored me. I bet now I'd be like, this is what I want. This is the Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm gonna just read a few titles of some books that I'm like genuinely excited to read. Like, yeah,
To reconsider?
yeah,
Or to
like the ones that I think are gonna be ones that I would never be into when I was young.
But did you read them?
Yeah, I read every single novel up till.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like up till, I don't know, like the main books, not like all the side shit, but all the stuff with Luke and shit in it.
Yeah.
I read pretty much everything till the end of New Jedi Order, but a lot of it I read like in one day, maybe 2 books, that I borrowed from my friend's dad. So going back, and some of them are
Your reading speed is
this stuff
insane.
This stuff is not hard to read. Like,
it doesn't matter.
Did you guys ever read the X-Wing books?
yeah,
Yeah.
Those were my favorite. I love the X-Wing books.
that's big stuff.
I reread a bunch of those
So good.
in the last decade. They're just like, that's like Top Gun. I just like, it's a whole other fantasy for me, is just like sick space combat. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's tight too.
X-Wing is like Top Gun. It's awesome. Yeah, the Crystal Star is one that I want to read. The Courtship of Princess Leia, Truce at Bakura. Are you thinking of Ambush at Corellia? Maybe.
No, they're all sort of blended. I basically know the series based on who the villain was. It's either you got your Thrawn, your Dalas, Isards. Like once you have I'm like, oh, that was the villain of that one. Yeah, I know that.
Oh man, Showdown at Centerpoint, Darksaber.
I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna
I
because
just know it has a red cover and
Yeah.
there's like a ship on it and Han Solo and Lando's faces.
I gotta say one. So I'm gonna commit to one, and I'm gonna say it's the comic book version of Jedi Knight. That's about Kyle Katarn, because I was so disappointed in it, having liked the game as like a kid, because the game is like a shooter and the comic is like artsy and like adult.
I didn't even know there was a comic version of it. I'm so excited for that.
It's gonna be crazy. That one, some of this stuff, I'm like starting to get worried. Like, how are we gonna read this shit? Like, how are we gonna fucking find this shit? But we're gonna. I will.
It's not hard.
If you can find those old 70s comics and stuff on the Marvel, whatever that website is,
Right,
surely you can find those there.
Sure. I'm sure that we'll be able to look at the pages in some form, but to hold it in my hands is another.
Oh, you want it in like a sort of official.
Gotcha.
To hold it in my hands is another thing entirely.
Sure.
Just because to me, there's a context that comes from.
That's why I have all the Mara Jade comics still in there, bagged and boarded, baby. I love those.
There's something about holding the real thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, hope that it answers your question.
Here's a fun one. If you guys had the wherewithal to build a Star Wars themed reading room, a place to quietly read material for upcoming SWOCBC discussions, what would you create? I'd want the interior of Yoda's hut. It's small, cozy, and raining. Plus, there's stew. You'd need a futon or something, though. The bare floor would probably be uncomfortable. Cheers. Cody, this is my consent, Smith.
I'm pretty much there. This is, but my thing is like, I don't want any sound. I don't want anybody to bother me, and I don't want to be uncomfortable.
Are we about to have the exact same idea?
Like, if I could have anything, I want to have like Vader's dome or like a window of a ship in like black, like the Emperor's.
I want the Emperor's throne room. Yes, that's
like
exactly what I want.
Like the Emperor's throne room, like just something.
I want
where,
the big chair and the window, and I want it all black
and no
with
one,
just enough
and
light
no
to
one
read.
can come in but me.
Yeah.
See, I would love to build like. It would be fun for us. In my head, it's a place where we all go and we have our own little like zone. So, yeah, that would be cool. There's Yoda's hut. I don't love them the most.
I
but
like the
a
stew part. I like
or,
the coziness.
or like an Ewok treehouse. There's gonna be a coffee area where we can like make pour over. We can have a little discussion.
Chewbacca's
and then
house.
little places where we can go off and like do our own thing. Like I was thinking about Chewbacca's, but it's too like 70s sitcom.
That's great
if
for
we
me.
made it like a bit more real, that would be sick.
Chewbacca's house is one of the coolest just houses. Like they should do like a magazine. Like somebody should go interview those guys.
I changed my answer. I want the Bridge of Home 1.
Oh
I
my
want
God.
that chair that swings through the air,
The floating one?
like
Yeah.
Admiral Akbar. And there's a whole like conversation pit.
That's very natal.
Yeah.
It's very,
in Dream World, where we can have whatever we want, it's a compound, and it features like there's different themes. Like one part is the like Ewok or like Yoda's hut part. One is like Imperial, clean, whatever, and then the other one can be.
4 of the parts are also Tatooine. Like there are 4 separate parts that are Tatooine.
I changed my
We
answer
can just
again.
blast you with sand.
Yeah.
when you
I want
come
that
in and
diner
out.
from episode 2.
Oh, Dex's Diner?
Dex's Diner. I bet that'd be a fun
Sorry,
place
guys.
to read.
Jess is off the show now.
Honestly,
That'd be a fun place to read. A diner? That'd be
yeah,
cool.
I love reading in a diner. I'm not even lying. I love reading in a bar and a diner.
When I read, I need a place that I can be upright or down. Like I move a lot, and so I need.
Comics in the diner, books in the bar.
Okay. Sweet. Shall we do some discussion questions?
Yeah, let's hit what piece of media do we have first on the docket?
Return of the Jedi novel.
Oh yeah.
We asked what you thought about it. Did you find the flowery prose as effective and powerful as Davis and Jesse did? What did you think of the extra bits of information about the characters and their internal monologues? Did it give you an added appreciation for them that you didn't get just from the film alone? Did you like that it tied more explicitly back to the idea of Star Wars being a hero's journey, fable, or did the added descriptions about Vader and the Emperor's relationship tickle your brain like it did me? And Anthony Matthews says, Return of the Jedi was my favorite of the original trilogy novelizations. Adventure of Luke Skywalker was up there because of all the stuff that it had that was different from the movie due to it being sort of an early draft. However, Return of the Jedi overtook it as number 1 because of the flowery prose, the insights into the minds of multiple characters, and the added lore. I thought the writing was beautifully done. When I first listened to the podcast episode, I was like, what the hell, Alex? Why are you shitting on this book that I loved? But after a second listen, I realized Alex's point was misunderstood. He still liked the novel. I think he was just trying to say that James Caan wrote it quickly, and yet somehow he was able to write a book that accidentally set the standard for the EU that followed. The only part of what he said that I disagree with was that it was lowbrow, but to each their own. I think it would be wise for us to remember the Surgeon General's warning that the guys discussed on another episode. This is a work of fiction and doesn't affect our lives in the grand scheme of things. Someone else's opinion shouldn't get us so bent out of shape. That's true. That's fair. Yeah. I love the like idea that you had about like a Surgeon General warning on media where it's like it's not real. But I also know that there are times where it will affect me.
Sure. I just get annoyed.
In ways, but it's good to remember, like, and even I didn't like fully get what you were saying at the time, and then upon listening to him, like, oh, you mean like this?
It's
and then we talked
never
about it in another episode.
Yeah, it's never gonna be like about Luke or Darth Vader or some shit for me where I'm gonna go to the mat. Like I'm never gonna like fight because I'm mad about what Luke did or what Vader did. I get heated in talking about media mostly just from the same reasons that I get heated arguing with someone. It's just like communication and being able to be understood what I'm saying. And that is usually the thing driving any sort of like anger you may detect in my voice. But really, I think it's just that I'm just from like a family of people who like scream at each other. Do you know what I mean? Like my family's like European and Cajun. Like Italian people, when they yell, like when they just like talk to each other, they're like moving, you know, and raising their voices.
You get like energy bounces back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I come from a very competitive, spirited family too. So
yeah, I mean, there's no. I don't think there's any like taken it too seriously.
I don't get the whole yelling thing. As an Irish guy, I just don't get it.
You're just out.
Yeah, I don't. Never yell.
Yeah. Just sit.
The added tidbits about the Emperor and Vader's
Never speak to
relationship
anyone.
definitely tickled my brain, especially when it said that when Vader has meetings with the Emperor, he feels fullness of power, of dark and demon mastery, of secret lust, unrestrained passion, and wild submission in his heart. Speaking of the Emperor, he's a real bastard in this. What with his spiritual violation and ribbing Luke and Vader about what kind of a master Obi-Wan was. Then he asks Luke who trained him after Obi-Wan, and he finds out it was Yoda. He then proceeds to mock Yoda by talking with Yoda's speech pattern. I would have loved to have heard Ian McDermott do that in the movie.
Amazing, yeah.
It's so fun. It's such a funny roast. Nobody would dare do that. That's like making fun of like somebody's speech impediment.
But it's the Emperor?
Yeah.
It's also funny because he just is like, that version, those little extra bits is like, oh, fucking Yoda? Oh, shit. He becomes like a roasting
He's
comedian.
the fucking
It's like,
robot chicken fucking emperor.
Yeah. You're like, great.
aluminum
Oh my God.
falcon.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, I'd be lying if I said the scene with Luke removing Vader's helmet didn't make me tear up. I've always had a soft spot for that scene in the movie. Anyways, and the added inner monologue really got to me, with Vader being afraid for Luke to look upon him, Luke crying when he sees his father, and his tears falling on Anakin's face. It says that for the first time, Vader loved his son, and for the first time in a very long time, he loved himself. He thinks back on prequel-era memories of his friendship with Obi-Wan and how it turned, and the feeling of lava crawling up his back. As a side note, this is something I didn't even know about. There was a mention of Vader's origin even earlier than this book. In Star Wars, Official Poster Monthly number 2, all the way back in November of 1977, it mentions that while battling Ben Kenobi, Vader stumbled back into a volcanic pit where he nearly fried alive. I thought it was super interesting that the lava backstory was already around that soon after A New Hope.
And that was before we would even know that he was.
So I looked up Star Wars Official Posters Monthly is like kind of like an insider or like fan club, but it's a British thing.
Yeah.
And it has like, what is the Wikipedia article that describes it? But like,
we found it even earlier than this, didn't we?
I don't, it's been mentioned
I'm pretty sure this
much.
is where we all thought they like pretty succinctly, I mean, maybe in Empire Book, but this is where he was like, I fought him, and he like threw into lava, and when he climbed back out, he was not, like, it was the most expressly talked about that he like went into lava and came out Vader. But
so who the fuck answers that question in that magazine? In Official Poster Monthly, like,
did you know about this thing?
I think the difference is this is Vader. We're still talking as Vader as a person, and the reason why he has all his stuff on is because Vader the man fell in the lava.
Right.
Instead of he was Anakin who then became Vader.
right. I'm aware of Star Wars Official Poster Monthly. I'm just interested what the source is, because it's like surely not just some writer.
I mean, who knows?
I don't know. They just said like it's this like series. It's called the Poster Monthly because the big thing is like a centerfold spread, but also they have like, it's the same shit as the other stuff where it's like science articles about things that do it, other bits of
Could have been McCallum.
random stuff. Yeah, it was like only released in Britain, or 18 issues. It's like I kind of want to like track it down and see.
Yeah, I'm interested in it from like, because we know like there's no way it's just like some guy who wrote it in the magazine, like a magazine, right? And then like somebody went back and saw that and took it as canon.
There has to have been some
it's-
sort
in
of
my mind, it's
interview
Lucas.
or
Yeah.
something where they said how did Vader end up in the suit, and
He
then
has
he explains.
a breathing apparatus
Yeah.
from jump.
Yeah.
It's like he clearly
we know something happened to his ass.
I want to know what the response was, because I would love it if it was George and he was just like, so Darth was hanging out, like clearly because he's still just Darth Vader.
Right.
He's still just a man.
His name is Darth. Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny thing is
because
he tried
they were like
it twice.
he got it hurt from Ben Kenobi. Like
Yeah.
the official book called him Ben Kenobi
yeah.
instead of Obi-Wan. So it's like
Yeah.
early days. But that was the response to the
So funny that he tried it again. He was like, we'll have a big scary guy show up, and we'll know that he's scary because he wheezes, and his name will be General Grievous.
dude. Let me.
He just needed more time to cook Grievous. I bet there was something cool they could have really done with him, and it's just not.
It's not
on
even
film.
not a cool idea. It's just like,
Well, he has no.
why did they make him
backstory.
sound like Fu Manchu? Like, why did
I
they
think
do
he was
that?
supposed to be the proto Vader.
Yeah, he's
But
like
they never connect those dots ever.
Right.
He's in the micro animated series,
And he's amazing.
So sick. He's so sick.
That's exactly what we're talking about, though. About like maybe it's just not canon, though, because I don't know that was ever canon.
And then
It
he put him
was.
in the movie, so he was.
Yeah,
Dude, that was canon because I remember it being a big event that tied into.
no, I
episode-
remember that too, but after the fact, I don't remember how much stuff that occurs in those cartoons was adhered to, because I know not everything was.
Well, then
Oh, sure. Like after that, who knows? But
Clone Wars,
that-
it became
kind of-
very canon.
I mean,
that kinda like-
shortly afterwards.
we were talking about like things that reference that was a cool thing because you were like, oh, now you know something from not the movies why Grievous is a certain way, but not.
I don't like that
not
media,
a
though.
rewarding.
I'm
thing.
not
I
a
feel
fan
like we're
of
gonna just
that
get
style.
another. I feel like we're gonna get another story. Like you know what? Honestly,
There probably is a book that I didn't read that's like how Grievous ended
Yeah.
up Grievousy.
That's another thing that I'm actually really excited to watch again. Are those Gennady Tartakovsky ones? Not because I'm going to reappraise them, because I do think they're excellent already, but I'm very excited to watch those because it's been a minute.
Those were on my like college. Did you guys like have that era where you and your buddies
Watch the Clone Wars cartoons all the time.
You just
yeah.
put stuff on, and you were like, you just had movies and shit playing
Jurassic
all
Park
the time while you played
3,
games and did everything else.
Ours
Dodgeball.
was the movie that I saw The Rock in college roughly 400
Yeah.
times.
Yeah,
Jurassic Park 3, Dodgeball. I'm trying to think what else was like a big one in ours. Transformers 2 was a big one in our thing.
Transformers,
especially
too.
dude for college. For me, was like WoW's heyday. So it's like we all had our things. You lived in that universe, and then you just like ate the
Had it
worst.
on the background,
You were dollar
yeah.
millionaires.
Cloverfield.
And, you just like watched whatever action movie or whatever thing. So
Heroes.
Domino's delivered, man.
Yeah.
all right, back to the Q&As.
Lost in Heroes, basically.
Christopher asks, will you guys cover the Old Republic Legends books, especially the Revan book?
Hell yes.
Yeah, and I'm
Absolutely.
excited too.
Like, fucking settle in, bro. These are happening in order, just so you know. So it's inconceivable to even imagine that like we're going to even be in the same socio-political situation that we are right now when that happens. But we'll see what happens.
Because we'll be so successful.
Yes,
and
right.
It'll be so good.
This is going to
Broadcasting live from Dex's Diner.
be yeah.
P.S. Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie. Just kidding. Not really. Many thanks.
Nice. See you later, man. Good bit.
I like it.
Thanks for hanging out.
Hey, thank you, Christopher. Call me Kenzie. If you could go back in time and tell/ask/demand George Lucas anything, what might you tell/ask/demand?
They're going to throw away your outlines when you sell this to them immediately before they even go into production. That's what I'm going to tell them. I'm just going to tell them, just so you know, when you sell them this to them, that you're going to hand them your outlines, and then they are going to throw them all in the trash and then delete all the canon.
I would go back earlier. I would go to 90s George and tell him, I know you want to mess around with green screen. Please do practical. Like, have characters not walk on a treadmill when they have a conversation. Just please, for the longevity of the film and
Let's
all
just
of
show
it.
him. Let's just show him the C-3PO R2-D2 scene from Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
From inside the factory.
I'd be like, please, George, please.
Like, I wish that I could be like, just will you make the prequels in the same way that you made the original trilogy?
Yeah.
Not by yourself.
He's gonna be
Get
like,
the best
"No."
people. He's like,
He's like, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that. That is what I'm doing. I am the best person.
I am the best people.
I am the cheese. I am the most important person in the show. No, but real talk. I don't want to like force him to do anything because then it's my fault. I just want to tell him, just so you know, they're going to throw everything out. Just so you know. Even the canon, they're going to throw it all out. Everything. Mara Jade will not exist. That's what I'm going to
I
tell him.
wonder what his vibe is with Mara, like those, like Mara Jade and them. Do you think he even cared?
I watched him joke about Mara Jade in Robot Chicken. He pretended to have a fight with someone over like.
I did see that. Yeah.
So I think he was very much paying attention. I think George Lucas probably read everything. I think he likes Star Wars.
Yeah, you think he was into it?
I genuinely think he was enjoying Star Wars.
Here's a good question. Howdy, SWOCBC. Although you already dedicate your time to the discussion of Star Wars in the podcast, I'm curious about how often you talk about Star Wars casually outside of this format. If so, how do these conversations differ? Are they just as passionate outside the podcast as they are within? Enjoying the show, Joel. For me, we don't talk about Star Wars as much outside of it because
we try not to,
because we're reading stuff all the time. We're like, no, save it.
Yeah.
Save all our ideas.
I do talk with people about Star Wars all the time.
Sure.
Yeah, I do. And mostly people just want to complain about modern Star Wars. And I just say, I don't care about that. I have a podcast about this. And then they go, what's that? And then I tell them about the old stuff. And they're like, oh, I like that. And I'm like, yeah.
I actively talk and watch reaction videos about Andor. I love Andor. I will always love that show. I like watching people who years ago when it wasn't on are now watching it in the run up to the new season, and they're posting their reactions on YouTube, and I'm watching every single one, and it's just so good.
Are people finally appreciating it?
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, the amount of talent involved in that production is crazy that it seemed so underappreciated, but I'm glad people see it for how truly awesome it is.
I think
it's
that
an
people
incredibly produced.
It's more and more relevant every day.
Just what?
It's more and more relevant every day, Andor.
Yeah, dude.
Especially that last episode, Rick's Road. Rick's Road, you guys. We should all be on Rick's Road.
Here's a good one from
my tea.
Swedish Rebel. Which upcoming games from the old canon do you most and least look forward to playing, and why?
Oh, Super Star Wars. F that. F all that noise. That's gonna be a pain.
Super Empire Strikes Back is the one that I'm afraid
we
of.
don't have to beat it.
We might not get past that first
we
level.
don't, but Davis does. Jesse and I are not going to be playing those, but Davis is going to.
I'll give it a shot.
6-pack of Diet Coke. I'll fuck that game till it loves me.
Not excited to play X-Wing. Very excited to play TIE Fighter.
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter? The biggest thing is going to be, I know we can get those on GOG.
We got them.
And I know we can play them.
Yeah, we got them.
The biggest issue is mechanically, those games exist in a different world.
That's what I'm saying.
I tried to play TIE Fighter again. You have to use your entire keyboard. Not just 3 or 4 buttons. The
What do you
entire
expect?
keyboard.
You saw how many people on the fucking bridge with all this shit?
TIE Fighter.
Oh, you wanted 2 sticks?
A TIE Fighter's one guy. It's nothing.
You're right.
If you played the recent X-Wing TIE Fighter
They still
game,
got a lot of buttons.
Squadrons.
that had a lot of buttons, but
love that game.
not even half as many.
Squadrons is not a simulator in
That's
the way
gonna be
that
a
the one that
ridiculous game to
actually
play.
rips is X-Wing Alliance.
Yes, that's a
That
good game.
game actually rips.
I want to use the power of this podcast to get a Squadrons, get a crew to be like, all right, let's all do a Squadrons night again.
It's out there.
Dude, I got into the multiplayer. That was so fucking fun.
Yeah.
Let's get into X-Wing Alliance multiplayer, bro.
I chased down, was it during COVID? I got a HOTAS.
I got one too.
Finally, but after the heyday, so I didn't never use it for that game. But
Dude,
I want to bust it out.
Bust out Ace Combat 7, man.
For me, the games.
Speaking my language.
Here's the thing: the games I'm most excited for. Weirdly, I'm excited for everything. The PS2 era, which are mostly prequel games. I'm excited because one, I was a bit pissed off. I was an angry prequel
You were
guy
skipping 'em. You were
at
skipping
the
'em.
time. Mm-hmm. But also, we didn't really know that was the good time of games where they could still be a game and not a weird service.
It's 10 hours.
So
yeah.
I'm excited to go back and play
Bounty Hunter
video games.
Yeah.
That are that.
Starfighter is really good.
And also be less whatever. I think Jedi Starfighter, I legitimately was this one's good.
Starfighter and Jedi Starfighter are both really good. That's a pretty cool series.
The pod racing ones we talked about, those are fun.
Masterful.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But they had that, was it episode 3 or there was that era where EA or somebody was cranking out the movie games.
There's a Revenge of the
that were
Sith.
Lord of the Rings, but they were good action
the
games.
The Two Towers game is excellent.
But I feel there was a Star Wars game. It might have been episode 3.
There's
where
a Revenge of the Sith
where
game.
it was the combat was like sick, and there was a whole bunch of DS games that were like
There's
pretty
a Clone
sick.
Wars
What was
game.
the Clone Trooper game?
Republic Commando.
That game is great.
That game is for Xbox. That game is awesome.
Yeah, I want to play that again.
Yeah, that game has been remade. Like those there a lot of those games.
That
you can,
game,
play.
like the scene from was it Obi-Wan, where like there's like a scene of
FPS.
Padawan era Hayden Christensen fighting Obi-Wan, and they just had not George Lucas dialogue, and you're like, whoa, wait.
Do we like the prequels?
What?
Yeah,
Like-
are the prequels
Okay,
like,
like,
are the prequels
this-
like high romance?
But the same thing with like that game, Republic Canon, where you're like, it's actually kind of like sick. Like
Yeah.
a like down and dirty game is tight. I don't know.
it's like kind of like halfway between being like Doom and like a Big Daddy simulator.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Kind of fun. Like it's really it's like almost like Mech Warrior. Like you're like clonking through.
I'm also excited to go back to Dark Forces because I imagine it's going to be even more jank than I remember, and I'm going to love every minute of it.
Dude, the PC version of Dark Forces is still very good. The PS1 version of Dark Forces is like you're gonna have to be on like suicide watch if you play that.
I must stress, shout out to GOG. Thank you for keeping all. They have so many Star Wars games.
Yeah, dude, the bundle is like $300 or something, or like $150 or something like that, and it's just a treasure chest of
And
games.
none of them have any DRM or any sort of weird, like,
Yeah.
it'll be deleted forever. You'll own. They're just.
I was so sad that they didn't officially fix the KOTOR thing, because they announced when they did the Aspire, I think it was announced that they were remaking the games. They did do a trailer for like the first one, like remake, right?
Yeah.
But then that was that, and then they put out like the actual ports, and they were like, for the second one, we're gonna like actually restore all that content that was cut, that all the fans.
Oh,
and then like,
interesting.
and
They
then
just
like
never did?
they just put out a press release like, JK, like, see ya.
I wonder if there was legal stuff.
Like probably the fucking fans who like fixed it, they were like, let's pay you. And they were like, no, it's free. You know, it was probably something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know though, but I would have loved that. Anyway, we're real excited to play a bunch of Star Wars video games. And actually, like literally the next time we record, it's to play them. So we're excited.
yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be any of those great games that we just talked
It would
about.
be like, some Atari level.
Yeah, some, we got to do the historical thing
think-
for all of them. But
Yeah.
I'm probably least excited for those because that's an era of gaming fidelity that's just like
you'd be surprised, motherfucker.
when you like flip it around and do like fun horror games that are modern that like throwback and you can do cool stuff, but I'm still curious to try it. I just have to pick a
We're
least
actually
favorite.
going back to
Everything.
It's like, yep.
Yeah, all of it.
Yep.
Greetings, Star Warriors. This is Big Easy. Obviously good to
Hey.
read on the show. I was wondering, what piece of Star Wars media have you watched, /played, /read the most? For me, I have seen the Genndy.
Gennady Tartakovsky?
I can never, Tartakovsky Clone Wars
Kennedy, but
easily
Gennady.
3 times as John F. Kennedy. Tartakovsky. Easily 3 times as...
Tartakovsky?
Ooh, Tartakovsky.
Dude,
Kennedy Tartakovsky.
3 times... Dude,
You're
like,
welcome, everyone.
Mon Cal
Oh
burger
my god,
with some
tartar sauce.
Rancor nuggets.
Damn.
so good. As many as Clone Wars, easily 3 times as many as any of the movies combined. I just died there.
again?
To that end, he's seen the Clone Wars, Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars, 3 times as many as any of the movies combined. That's because they're really short.
Yeah.
That I added that bit. That's me editorializing for comedy. To that end, I can't wait until you get there because it answers basically everything about Grievous that is important. Literally, that's like 2 things.
True.
Thanks for the pod as always, and hope you're well.
I've watched the Leonard Maltin trilogy of original VHS tapes that I had 100 majillion times. Games wise, it's got to be Jedi Knight 2. I played that I was modding that game for like 15 years. I don't know what I just played that game in every possible way that it could be played for 15 years. When I was like a kid, I played that game so much.
Jedi Knight 2 is like, or I guess Jedi Knight, so Dark Forces 2.
Yeah.
I love that. I played it a bunch, but Academy, I played the sequel to that even more. I made like save slots before basically like every cool
Thing. Yeah.
like usually like lightsaber battle, and I would just go through and fight the most cinematically, because like in single player they would have it like do slow-mo and cool stuff. And there was like 3 stances. You could do special moves. And so I would try to have the sickest fights. And I would like do that all the time.
Yeah. In the new canon, I watch Andor every once in a while. I watched Last Jedi about twice a year, but I've watched Rise of Skywalker like 15 to 20 times.
Just trying to
I feel like
trying to solve the riddle.
I feel like you're lying to me.
I'm not. I don't know if you guys know this. This is like a real thing. Like, I remember when I saw Rise of Skywalker and I've probably told the story before. Dave was out of town and I watched it at midnight, and then me and Jesse were going to like meet up and watch it and then talk about it because we were still going to do our podcast.
I was out of town and I came back.
Yeah. And so like I was standing in like downtown Culver Town Square, and I came from one area and Jesse came from like another area, and we were already both like kind of smiling because of how bad the movie was. We were both kind of like waiting to just tell each other that we couldn't believe how shitty the movie was. And ever since that moment, ever since that day, I was like reckoning. I went through like a stage of like denial. I tried to write a different movie. I tried to fix.
I remember that. Yeah.
I went through like a stage where I just couldn't believe that movie occurred, and I tried to like go back.
Fever dream.
And so I just have this weird obsession with Rise of Skywalker, and I've seen it a lot of times because of that. Even though I don't think
you are
good.
to Rise of Skywalker as David Ayer is to Suicide Squad, except for you didn't make the original movie.
Yeah, I just can't. I want to get in there. I whenever I want to like chill out, I throw on Rise of Skywalker because I don't feel bad not watching it.
Oof. No, again, TIE Fighter for me back in the like early 2000s, maybe like 2001-ish. There was an online forum where you would role play being in a squadron, and then you would submit your own custom maps that you'd make, and it would be for your squadron to go on adventures together, and you would report back how the battle went. And it was so cool. And so I made maybe 20 or 30 custom maps, and someone at the time had created a map editor that let you, even down to the minute, when enemy ships would show up, where they'd show up on the map. You could pinpoint dialogue that would appear. We would do all the voices so it'd be our own voices coming over comms. And it was great because it was also when Thrawn was really like, he's in the game.
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, we're in the fleet. Like, that's the Chimera, and we're bad. It was great. It was so much fun.
Super sick. Yeah.
If you guys want to just enjoy things more, role play.
I did the same. I did the same
literally,
thing.
like, not you, like the royal you people out there. Like, I guess I was doing that with like the Jedi stuff. Like, especially now more than ever, where I feel less pressure to play a lot of games, I'm trying to like role play everything, and like that's hardcore. That's like sick, and it adds so much more enjoyment. It like makes it so much realer. It's like
it doesn't even need to be role playing. You just need to like, if that's too embarrassing for you, just lock in. Just like fucking.
Oh, sure. Like the light side of that can be just like lean into the fantasy.
Like lock in, like absorb it the way that it's trying to present itself.
Half the guys on our squadron weren't like reporting for. They were just, yeah, I'm on the squadron, dude. I can't wait to kill stuff.
It's
and
vibes.
It was fine. It was great.
Yeah, I did the same thing on GameSpy with X-Wing Alliance. You could make your own stuff. We had our own livery that you could put on the ships because you could like put it in the game.
You could put it in the game, and so each person had their own flagship, and no one was allowed to have a Star Destroyer because that was the capital ship.
Yeah.
But you could have your own little personal cruisers, and it was great. And so you'd go into battle, and it'd be like, yeah, this is my dreadnought. And then you would come off of that on your TIE Fighter, and then you'd be like, you have to report back to that when you were done with the mission. It was cool.
Yeah, I flew A-Wings. We were like an A-Wing squadron.
We were TIE Defenders, dude.
Yeah, oh my God. Rich boys.
Yeah.
Lamborghinis.
Let's hop over to some discussion posts.
Yeah.
This time, Return of the Jedi film. Ooh. The sort of prompts that we posed were like, do you agree that it's a somewhat compromised masterpiece that not only changed the way Star Wars stories were told going forward, but also the way the film industry approaches franchise storytelling? How do you feel about the Ewoks? Do you see them as a cute part of the greater Star Wars tapestry, or do they fill you with rage like they did a 15-year-old Denis Villeneuve?
Yes.
It ended in 1983 with Return of the Jedi.
I couldn't believe that's the best quote. I can't believe it.
First response is from, and I'm going to just mess this up. Dan Shawstrom. It's SJ the umlauted O STR umlauted OM.
Dan S, man.
Dan S. You know what? Damn. Just good job. Permission to use. Sorry for any spelling mistakes. Dude, sorry for...
Got him out of there.
Sorry for being a living mistake. I really like Return of the Jedi. The Ewoks ain't the greatest, but they never felt out of place. They are just a weird alien race they encounter like they do all the time. This time, they're just teddy bears. I never really felt that they didn't do anything. I never really felt that they didn't do anything / wasn't scary either. I always just thought it was because it's a like big movie battle from the 80s without CGI. Like they threw rocks that bounce off the heads of stormtroopers, but that's because they can't throw real rocks. The same with arrows. They kind of just glance off because it's easier to show a bunch of fake arrows being shot and the enemies falling down rather than make every arrow hit like go through armor. I never saw it as ineffective, just a budget thing. The movie's a great time. I love the start. It's like a little crime story. Then it branches out for the Luke trick, a little battle. Then it's off to save the day. Great start. I especially love the Luke kick that's so off the mark. It's crazy. I love old movie gaffes like that. The end space battle is crazy good. Love seeing Wedge in his prime just demolishing the Empire. Cannot wait for the X-Wing books. And the one thing that I always...
I mean, you will. But yeah.
Yeah. You have
be
to
a
wait.
while,
But
yeah.
yeah. And the one thing that always makes me flinch when they go into the Death Star for the first time and it's so fucking narrow and so fucking fast, I do a little head duck every time. The speed they convey here and in the speeder bike chase is crazy.
You know what I just realized?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, let me just... and then to me, it's also very funny that Nien Nunb is basically an extremely decorated war veteran, hero of multiple campaigns, but he's only remembered for laughing a little when Lando calls the attack run on Death Star 2. Everyone is like, hee, stupid Nien. That man is like, hey, time to kill 3 million people. Nien is a menace. Keep going with the pod. So much fun stuff to come.
I just realized, remember when they were doing at Disneyland Space Mountain?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we're going to Star Wars theme it.
Yeah.
Why on earth didn't they theme it around the Death Star run? It's every time I'm on that ride, I go like my head sinks into my body.
Which one?
On Space Mountain.
On Space Mountain, because there's all the poles and this shit everywhere. And when they turn the lights on, when they do that one where they turn the lights on, it literally looks like you're going on a Death Star.
It looks like you're going to die in there, yeah.
And I just hit me like that would have been the perfect. You get on there, you put Nien Nunb, he's the guy who does the intro.
Yeah.
And then you go through it, and it's like, yeah, we're doing the Death
You
Star
should just
run.
get a guy who's dressed like Nien Nunb to sit next to everybody on the
I would like
ride.
that, actually. You know what? Next time, that's the plan. Interesting.
Nien. Metroid Mike says, I never minded Ewoks. I loved them growing up, and I used to watch Ewok Adventure all the time as a kid. I do think Star Wars changed how we do movies completely. I learned a lot from listening to the podcast. I had no idea Lucas did so much for the film industry. I'm not a big movies guy, so I only see one or two every so often, but Star Wars was huge for me. It for sure changed how I saw movies. I always saw movies as passing things. Like I watch it once and then I'm done and almost never watch them again. Ewoks taking out the Empire I thought was fun because so much like Sauron ignoring the hobbits because to him, clearly Aragorn would have the ring. Why would they fortify for trees and small bears? I'm sure there are plenty of reasonings not to. It just doesn't matter to me that much. Jedi is fun. That's what matters to me. I watch it and I have fun.
Big same. I think everyone agrees. Like it's a fun ass movie.
That was kind of our
start to
big
finish.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Completely.
We just had a great time and we were like, fuck the haters.
Yeah.
That movie cooks.
Yeah, we talk about it like a lot more on Inside the Insider because it's about that kind of stuff. But like what Lucas did, like literally for film, not just through movie, like, but what he did with all of the different companies is like crazy. It's
And I must
wow.
stress, using Davis earlier said flawed masterpiece to describe Jedi. Please note, masterpiece is still there.
Yeah.
Like it's not perfect, but it's
not
a
even
masterpiece.
that it's not even that it's flawed. It's just like the screenplay is not the whole like it's not a
It's not as
masterpiece.
good as Empire.
It's not a masterpiece screenplay, but it's the final product is something that changed media.
As a kid,
Yeah.
I watched the last, I'm going to say 45 minutes of that movie about 12,000 times.
Oh my God, yeah.
it's still to this day is paced and the scale like it's not like we got really any better at
Right.
like that. This visually is
It's Endgame.
It does
It still is.
It's crazy.
Except for the end of Endgame is way too long.
Never mind. I'm not gonna get in there.
Hey, on your left, bud.
Joel Coxhead says, reposting a comment I made in the non-discussion post. Actually, this is a good one. I need to point out something that Jesse stated in a previous episode, that no one got mad at Chewie's death and that it just became a meme. There was, in fact, a controversy. And then there's like a snippet of an interview with Salvatore. Did R.A.?
Yeah,
R.A.
Salvatore wrote it.
He said, I've been surprised by the level of anger in some of the people. I haven't received any of the death threats personally, but they've been made, so I've been told. I have received many angry emails. Obviously, it wasn't, and then that's the end of the quote. Obviously, it wasn't to the horrific scale that social media has now allowed for.
That, I think, is the problem. Yeah, I wasn't aware of any of that because I think I wasn't social mediating then.
I would love to talk to him about it.
Getting emails is like very different from your social media page. Like,
Yeah.
in an email, you can like pretty quickly not engage with it, but it's like now you can find exactly the person that you are angry at and make really sure they see your like threat. So,
Yeah, I did not know that. Interesting.
I
thought it was kind of like a goof and everyone was goofing on it. I didn't know it was people were pissed.
I'm interested to see what that really was like.
I didn't read that book, and I wasn't that dialed into the greater community at the time. So by the time I heard about it, it just became a meme with my friend. Like we just were like, "What the fuck?"
We certainly will read letters about it in the Star Wars Insider, I'm sure. Like
Maybe.
like the rate that we're getting through the Star Wars Insider, I don't know how fast. Like right now, we seem to be kind of like outpacing ourselves, but I think we're going to catch back up to ourselves. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was Chewie though. Looking back, I can understand being
Killing
mad.
Chewie, right? Like, but you know what just happened recently?
Can
that's
we
crazy?
like, if we're being real about it, like, if these are not precious characters and they're in a semi-realistic universe, eventually their number's going to get pulled. They should all be dead at some point.
That was the tone that was kind of like the tone setter for the New Jedi Order. That was what was different. Like they were like, it's Game of Thrones. Like you don't know what's going to happen. Like people were dying in like every book. It is New Jedi Order. Like if you are in love with these characters, it is a fucking.
It's why I didn't like it.
Bloodbath.
Absolutely. I was not a fan of the fact that it was like, yeah, I won't spoil it.
It's
yeah.
It's a lot.
I bet
of
now
death.
I would love it. I bet now looking back, I'll be like, yeah.
I might be sick. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hey guys, loving the SWOCBC vibes. As always, good time to find a new. It's always a good time to find a new episode on the feed. So outside the movies, I feel like Star Wars media always has been all over the place tonally. I get that different formats, cartoons, comics, etc., lend themselves to different styles, but the old canon had some truly wacky moments. We've read many of them, and
Bro, let me tell you about the new canon, bro.
and over time, the weirdness really built up. Now, I haven't read everything in the new canon, but with Disney at the helm, do you think there's a limit to how weird things can get?
Nope.
Or if the franchises run long enough, do you think that the rails will eventually come off? And what's the most out there thing you could see making the jump from old canon to new, maybe even into live action? Thanks again, boys. Hope you have a great time. And remember to keep your friends close and your droids closer. Rafi from Germany.
If it hasn't happened already, because I'm a little bit behind, I think Vornskers are coming straight to the new canon.
I guess it depends on like how weird, because you could say things like Rise of Skywalker, though presented not cartoonishly, they're pretty wacky with the way that they do things. Or are we talking about weird in the like, what's his face, Watchmen, Alan Moore style stuff?
Yeah, I mean, look, just to give you a clue, just to give you a sense, in Star Wars, I think it's Battlefront 2, the book. There's like this scene where like at the end, after all the action is done, like an ancient ruin opens and like some weird old robot from a time bygone comes and drags everybody's bodies down into a pit to be turned into mulch. So
That's just
I mean,
recycling.
that definitely did happen.
So like there's no like Disney is gonna stop things from getting too weird. The space whales are gonna be in a movie.
I do think that there's they have a much firmer grip on things. Like you're not gonna get the psychedelic like wacky stuff. I think it will be decidedly less weird, but I also don't think that also might be because this shit's from the 70s that we're reading. Like, there's also not just the company. There's that we're in a different era.
There's definitely just like a generic sort of like atonal, where there's no way to experience it and think it's cool in the same way.
A weird thing is like from a certain point of view, books that are like don't even make sense with their own. Like that's weird again, not far out there, but weird in a like why does this exist?
The Rogue One catalyst is weird. Just that it exists, like that they made that book is weird.
In Ahsoka, they literally had Death Troopers, like the zombie troopers. Like so they're pulling from old stuff. Here's what I'll say: the one thing I think that I'm waiting for, I just want to read this exact.
That's crazy
title for Davis because I want them and believe they will eventually bring back Abeloth. Who I know you don't know who that is.
We'll get there.
Know a little bit.
We'll get there.
I just want to.
I don't know nothing about Abeloth from a previous mailbag, and I don't want to know any more because I'm like,
yeah, we'll get there.
I just want that's gonna be if they bring that back in like a future. We're getting full Eldritch. That could be super interesting.
I feel like we're like 1 foot away from that. And I don't know what's even happening in the comics and shit. I'm like so far beyond the expanded universe right now of the new canon. I just don't have time. Like I'm reading fucking the Ewoks, man. We got to watch Sindel Tawani and her little
blonde girl running around with Ewoks.
locks.
I'm too slow that I couldn't keep up even if I wanted to keep up with all of it.
Sure.
Well, guys, there's so much. If it like even we're like on pace now. We're like putting shit out at a regular pace, and like it's still gonna be a long time.
There's a lot of content.
Yeah,
there's 2 decades worth of stuff to go through.
It's crazy, and we've read already the last book before
the 90s,
before Heir to the Empire.
And then in the 90s, it picks up at a rate that is so. I think
it gets so lush so immediately in season 2 of the SWOCBC.
Thank God for books on tape as a kid.
Yeah.
Anthony Daniels read all the books. And they were on cassette, and I would listen to them all the time.
Dude, Anthony Daniels is one of those types of guys that every franchise needs, who's like not that important to the larger tapestry, but is like the lifer who gives like those like Tom Bakers and like those like Doctor Who guys that like stayed like in the convention scene for a long time, stuff like that. You gotta love that.
They keep the fandom alive.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You gotta love that flavor.
Greetings, Star Warriors. I'm curious, what are your experiences been with the Lego? I think they mean Lego Star Wars games. I remember being 6 years old. I'm 20 now, and not allowed to watch the movies. So some of my first introductions to Star Wars was through waving my Wii remote around like a crazy person and doing laps on the pod race mission.
Just had to make me feel old as shit real quick at the top.
Yeah, and doing laps on the pod race mission for weeks before finally beating it. Plus, looking back at it now, watching cutscenes with the iconic dialogue replaced with grunts and mumbles was kind of weird. Absolutely love the show. Davis for President from Montrose 555.
Is that why you included that? You're running for political office?
Do you automatically get read on the show if you write Davis for President at the end?
Honestly, I wasn't feeling like I was really qualified for that position, but
who is?
You have the supporters.
Now I'm like, maybe. Like, here's the thing. You know me, everybody. I'm like kind of an asshole about stuff. Like, I get really specific things. I love Legos. I love Star Wars. When those games came out, I was a little punk who had thoughts. So I was like, this is not
Hater.
Legos,
Yeah.
the game. This is a baby game.
Yeah, you're a hater.
So those games were huge. Like everybody was like playing them, and I'm like,
they're fucking
no
great.
Game here.
No, they're fucking great.
It's not Legos here.
They're very good.
I'm sure they are.
They're
good.
like
So that's my. They asked what are our experience. So I don't like play those. I understand and appreciate that people go nuts for them, but like for me, I just didn't gel because I could play Jedi Academy at the time or any other game that was like more action.
You're looking for the immersion.
What's the
Or I
one?
would just build Legos.
Yeah.
What's the one they just released? That's the entire like 9.
The Skywalker one.
That one's super fun.
That's different. That's like
it's modern.
Yeah, it's like a
completely
remake,
different,
yeah.
but like
same idea though.
Wait, is it not the original games remastered?
No, it's like the trilogy retold in Lego
One game,
form.
yeah.
And it has ridiculous dialogue and it's very funny.
The old Lego Star Wars games, and honestly, all the Lego Star Wars games are awesome. Like they're very similar to like the Koei Tecmo games, like in sort of like my relation to them and how they relate to IP and stuff like that. Where like the gameplay in each game is basically exactly the same. Like you're basically doing the same stuff, and
It's Dynasty Warriors, but it's also
it's kind of Dynasty
Dragon
Warriors.
Ball. It's
like Dynasty Warriors, Kirby. It's like Kirby level difficulty Dynasty Warriors, and you get like a bunch of characters to unlock, and you get like a bunch of like, things to grind out and things to like play over and over again, and it's themed Star Wars.
You get the Lego pieces,
and it's funny.
What I think it was is like before we thought of like cozy games, like it was like the point isn't to be challenged. It's like to
it's
be immersed and like kind of like different characters unlock, like you had to like
they have like different skill classes and like different little. It's literally just like any of those other games, like more like a Ultimate Alliance type situation.
Yeah,
but it's just like kind of leisurely. You just kind of hang out. I really enjoyed the one that I really got into was Lego Indiana Jones for the DS. I found it in a geocache just randomly, and so I just played it. And something about the sensory feedback of like the pieces breaking apart and coming together, and the sounds and getting stuff and constantly collecting things. It's very chill. It's fun. It's not really like it's not really about being in the Star Wars universe or building Legos, but I get why
it's Indiana Jones.
Well, I just mean I get why it's
touché.
Dumb.
I get why it's enjoyed. I get why you could be really into it. I just see it. I get it. I like it.
Man, finding Indiana Jones DS in a geocache.
He went on his own Indiana Jones adventure.
You did one of those like BoJack Horseman. Like there couldn't be a more densely packed time machine line. Like all like geocaching in the DS, and this is like whoa.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It was
2007?
Like 9, 10, something there.
Something like that.
It was great, man. Because like somebody to put it into geocache, it's got to be quite old, right? To just give a game away.
Oh, that's true, but like
I know. People are hardcore.
that's not a game that an adult that geocaches would, or would it be?
Hating? Why are you hating? Even now, what are you talking? I just gave a speech about how good they are.
Here's the thing. I used
still
used the voice like I was giving it shit, but I was thinking about like the DS. Those games like those were like distinctly the DS versions were like kid versions.
I'm gonna buy you the fucking game. You're gonna play the fucking DS one. You're gonna go, hi, hey, I had a great time. Thank you so much for playing this.
I already have the game.
Okay, great. Great. Set it up. Fire it up. Let me come report back to the people.
Okay, it'll be a new tier.
Daily blogs.
Let's see. My name is Breljorn, and my question is, what is the book you are looking forward to having a discussion about the most? Not necessarily the book you are most looking forward to reading, but the book you are looking forward the most to picking apart. I'm personally excited to see what everyone's thoughts are on the Legacy of the Force books.
Gotcha. That's so far away. But
easy answer: Dark Empire. Those comics are there's so much going on, and they keep pulling from it.
They're crazy
from modern Star Wars, but they're genuinely crazy comics. There's so many. They introduce so many dark side things that are nuts. Just pure insanity. I can't wait.
People
to talk
don't
about
like people. Some people don't like the Dark Empire comic.
That's because it's so weird. It's a weird, and the art style
it's fucking sick.
I did not read it, but I've seen art from it, and it looks like it's like beautiful. It's like
adults.
cool, and
it's adults. Yeah,
but it also looks like weird.
It looks like
kind of like gross.
Wildstorm or some shit.
Like it's like a different energy. So, I don't know what I'm looking the most to pick apart. Like, I don't really have anything out for
picking apart can be good.
Legacy. I'm just like I liked this era. I look back upon where it was just more Star Wars, and to me it was really precious. I don't have anything that I'm like, oh, this sucks, but everybody likes it. I'm just excited to kind of like see how it is.
I think number one right now that I'm like excited to get to is the first trade of Tales of the Jedi. I think that's going to be so hype because we're going to have so much to say, and it's going to be like very much the opposite of like weird Star Wars. It's going to be really fresh, different Star Wars that definitely feels like Star Wars. Really interesting.
I also can't wait till we get to the point where the comics start to get really creative with minor characters, where there's the one about like the Emperor's Imperial Guard who's
Crimson something?
Yeah.
Crimson Empire?
Crimson Empire, yeah, like that comic is a wild ride. There's
Canos.
so many different ones where they are like, oh yeah, that guy in the background, we're gonna make a 6-issue comic about that dude, and it turns out he's awesome.
And it doesn't
You're like,
even,
okay.
and it's not like now where they do that and he's like Luke Skywalker's like childhood best friend.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with anything. It's just a guy doing a thing in Star Wars, and those are fun but weird.
The Tales books are going to be really fun.
Yeah.
Tales of the Bounty Hunters, Tales of Mos Eisley,
yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Rose, and I use she, her pronouns. Getting into your show has made me more interested in Legends books. Like, I read some of the Legends book when I was a little girl and just picked up anything with Star Wars on it, so I wasn't exactly reading them properly in any sort of order. I was wondering if you all had any good jumping on points for, like, specifically the New Republic / New Jedi Order era. I love listening to the podcast a lot and enjoy the conversations y'all have, and I'm looking forward to y'all getting to Knights of the Old Republic and the Force Unleashed eventually.
So the
Have a
New
nice day.
Republic and New Jedi Order, that's like 15 years of books.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to say jumping on point for the New Republic,
Is that like the Thrawn trilogy?
yeah, like New Republic, read Heir to the Empire.
That's the start. Yeah.
Yeah. Or read the first Kevin J. Anderson books, or read.
But I mean, New Republic starts with, like, Thrawn is the starting point. It is 1 year after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I'm just trying to throw out like some like if you don't want to read every single book, the original Thrawn trilogy is great. And like I say, the first time Kevin J. Anderson does a trilogy is great. And then like a little further in, I'm trying to think what's like a good like late.
Well, they also start, and maybe they already do, they start like giving you the whole timelines like in the book so you can follow that along. Or the internet's always good about like essential reading lists where they can kind of be like, these are all like, there's going to be some that are probably not great, not ones you need to read.
Any
that are
trilogy is probably a good jumping on point in the New Republic with the New Jedi Order, because the New Republic, you basically get it. There's not much that you need to know. Other, like, you know, maybe Children of the Jedi is a great place to jump on.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like, but pretty much any of those trilogies is designed to just be a Star Wars trilogy that you can just have and enjoy on its own.
Eventually, characters start returning, and you have to know stuff. And by the time you hit New Jedi Order,
you should start at Vector Prime, and that's the only place you can start
there is a starting point.
Stuff fucking happens in like a Game of Thrones-ass way after that. It's all one plot after that for the most part. Yeah. In that when they return to the storyline that has Han and shit in it, it's like one thing that's happening the whole time. It's crazy.
Yeah. Let's do the final discussion post stuff, which is for Lando Calrissian and the Mind Harp of Sharu. God. We asked, what do you think about it? Do you think it characterized Lando well? How'd you feel about all the wild revelations regarding the Sharu and the life crystals? Did you enjoy the style of writing? Did you get bogged down in the seemingly endless series of plot contrivances like Davis did?
There might be a little bit of editorial license in these questions.
Or were you able to simply enjoy the groovy, nonchalant pacing and prose like Alex? See? I gave it another side.
It's like when you see a poll online and you're like, wait a minute, that's only one, like, there's only one option here.
Look, I don't pretend like I don't write these with my own subjectivity. I proclaim that every fucking episode. Anthony Matthew says, I enjoyed this book. I was able to sit back and enjoy the ride. It took me on without worrying too much about any inconsistencies. It might be my favorite of this trilogy. No spoilers, but the other books do answer most of those loose plot threads that y'all brought up in this book. Pause. Anthony, I've read the fucking 3 books. Do they answer them?
Yeah.
Yo.
Yes, they do.
100%.
Yes, but also no.
Do you say yo?
It was a combo.
Oh.
It was a yes, no.
Or
Yo.
Ness. What do you like better?
Yo works.
Yo.
They talk about
This
other
is one of those
things.
polls where there's 2 answers that I don't like.
They say other words about them. I don't know that it answers.
Yo and Ness,
the chill
dude.
pace worked for me. I like the parts when it was just Lando playing sabacc or hanging at the bar drinking and smoking a cigar. I did too.
It's a great part.
I feel like it gave me a glimpse into the typical day in the life of Lando. I think this was also the first mention of Lando being unnaturally lucky. It makes you wonder if he's force sensitive. I like the relationship that grows between Vuffy, Ra, and Lando. Vuffy causes Lando to think about his values, and he slowly opens up to the droid. I thought the bit of Lando constantly telling Vuffy, Ra, don't call me master was funny, even if it gets a little overused. My favorite part of the book was
I love that
seeing-
Davis put out like, so did you hate this or what? And this is like, actually, I really loved everything.
Yeah.
Immediately got.
My favorite part of the book was the scene you guys mentioned, chapter 11, when Lando was tied to a life tree trying to escape while slowly losing his mind and freezing to death simultaneously. I was intrigued by his inner monologue and thought process while his hands unconsciously picked at the ropes to free
I was
himself.
impressed by how unworried he was about his fucking toes falling off.
Because his brain was going bad. Also, did you guys catch, and I was speaking in...
Because his brain was going bad,
I was
dude.
speaking in the, like, I was getting my...
You were like losing your brain.
Honestly,
because
the book kind of treated
brain
me
go bad.
like a life crystal sucking it. Anyways. Also, did you guys catch the part where Chandler approaches Lando at the bar? He says, I think at the time we didn't know it was Chandler, but he says, "What are you, sailor? Some kind of pervert?" I laughed while reading this because it caught me off guard. It was so random and bizarre. I was like, what did I just read? Apparently only a pervert would be seen hanging out with a droid and a toka, according to Chandler. Just thought that was a weird tidbit.
Chandler
Chandler drives a
Cybertruck. Chandler is a shithead.
Do you think it's because the shape of the droid?
Yeah.
Like if it was a humanoid droid, it wouldn't be as bad because it is like
If it was
things-
made of rubber and it went like this,
yeah, he'd be fine.
he'd
with
be
it.
fine with that. Yeah,
Right,
but
yeah.
because it's got tentacles and shit, yeah.
Dude, Chandler is...
I made a shocked and surprised face, by the way, you
Yeah,
guys.
his mouth was a big O.
Yeah.
and his eyes were wide open.
Yeah, and
he was
my
made of- he
my
was made of
arms
plastic
look
and
like
rubber.
GTA guys' hands.
Right.
Joel says, I'm with Davis when it comes to the plot contrivances that were brought up in the episode that are most likely the result of the book's first draft nature. The staggeringly short time span it took to write and the fact that the cleanup of some of these moments is relatively simple stops my usual ability to overlook these inconsistencies.
It's a bit.
In quality that I usually apply in such circumstance. And once again, I am surprised by how concepts established so early in Star Wars lore are still mine today. This time with the Sorcerers of Tund continuing their life into the Disney canon, playing a light role in one of the High Republic comics set
Ooh,
on
interesting.
Jeddah.
I didn't know that.
Due to my stream of consciousness writing style when it comes to these comments, I recall Alex making a potentially tongue-in-cheek comment about how to make SWOCBC wild success. If you allow me to recommend beyond the usual suspects of communication inconsistencies, hammering the promotional side of things for the lead up to Heir to the Empire would be my best strategy. It is the most recognizable of the Legends lineup and is relevant to Disney Star Wars due to its recycled skeleton being used as foundation
Christ.
for
No, that's
Filoni's
true.
project.
That's 100% true.
Much love to the show. Always looking forward to the next episode.
I mean, well, talk to me after Christmas.
That's going to be hype.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. And it 100% that is mined for.
In my mind, in my head canon, Heir to the Empire is season 2, episode 1 of SWOCBC.
Yeah.
Like
So you're in the proto-verse right now?
season 1 is the proto canon. Season 2 is the New Republic.
And then Dan S.
Dan S
said, I didn't read it this time. I did, however, read it in my teens, and I had a really vivid flashbacks to it being so fucking weird. Just the wildest swings in terms of in-universe presentation and theme. When Alex was recapping and it sounded just like a confused mess, I was transported back in time to my youth reading this book and had to put it down and rub my temples to comprehend what was happening several times.
To be fair, dude, this book is not
particularly
confusing.
Here's one thing. Whether or not you like it or not, the part where he's where they don't know what the fuck is going on in the temple is maybe you can track it, but my brain, I actually was it's too many details for me to make it coherent. And that could be part of it because the characters are also encountering a thing they don't understand, but it was whoa, this is
I do
wild.
believe that he was trying to be disorienting in those passages, but I just want to say, to Al Neil Smith's credit, even though he is dead and gone and has some iffy political beliefs in some ways, the dude was writing clean, unsloppy manuscripts, and specifically, though he was being very melodramatic with his plot points and being silly with how things were wrapping up, he was very much listening to himself and referencing back and forth and remembering what he wrote before and trying to be fun with it. And I really don't think that the speed with which these books were written really hampered them that much beyond what he was trying to do with them.
I think
I don't
the
think
speed takes it from being a great book to a Star Wars book.
he might have
Like,
tried.
it's a
He
book.
might have tried a different approach if he had more time, for sure. But I don't believe that what he did was less than what he. I believe that he was proud of these books,
Like they're not bad
Yeah.
books.
and I think, and I don't think he did a less any less job than he would do on any other job.
I agree. I believe he was very proud of it. He's so proud of himself that he created an award that he then gave to himself.
We just can't. We can't say
The Davis roast was so pure.
I just can't stand. I just can't stand
it's a
by
fact
us.
I can't.
Yeah.
I
can't deal with.
I
can't unknow about.
I just don't want to insult this writer because we don't like what his version of Star Wars is. Because the dude, I'm just saying, he did it. It wasn't like a shitty try. It wasn't a low effort try. He wrote a funny, melodramatic thing where the plot was not the number one thing. The plot was a joke.
Okay.
And I just want to say, we can believe what we want to believe about it and feel how we want to feel about it. But I don't think that us all being like, I didn't like it, and it's because the guy was like sloppy is cool.
And there wasn't another book for 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Dude, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know what to say about that. But I just think I don't feel like any of us walked out of this thinking, boy, these were some shitty books.
no, not even remotely.
No, you
I
didn't.
do remember that Lando wasn't
Such a
acting like
fucker.
Lando, like you were saying. He was just a look. I'm not saying I'm like right. I'm just saying it felt like sloppily written to me, and finding out how fast it was written did not do anything to excuse my first read of all these
It's just
plot holes,
it's just a weak position to review a piece of text from.
probably. I'm just giving my opinion. I don't
just,
know. Like
that's all. I don't care about your opinion. I don't care about where it's coming from in your mind. I'm just telling you.
you just said
No.
we all think this, and I'm saying I don't think this.
The point of what I was saying, the reason I'm speaking up on L. Neil Smith's behalf is not because you,
On the good winner of the established award.
dude, he's fucking dead. It doesn't matter. He's not gonna hear this and be like, man. I'm just saying, the dude's not a shitty writer. That's all I'm saying. He's not. He did exactly what he set out to do.
I'm not a teacher. Jesse was a teacher, but I feel like when those teachers are like, you can do, I know you're better than this. In his own book, there's a bunch of great stuff, and then there's a bunch of nonsense. So I'm like, well, I know you can do awesome stuff. The way that he writes psychedelia, I haven't read any Hunter S. Thompson, so let me be clear with, I don't have a lot of history reading that kind of stuff, is very cool. When he does, and he does it across several books, Tripping Out is very well written. There is some cool stuff. It's just the other stuff that is Chandler
have
is
no
everybody
problem.
and nobody. How is he?
I have no problem with the issues that you're taking with the book. I don't. My problem is just that we're all so quick to be dude was just slopping it in. We have no idea what he
everyone's
was
saying
doing.
that's probably where a lot of the problems came from. Not that it makes the book in general isn't great.
No, it's a 7. It's a 6.5.
But I think a lot of the problems Davis is saying came from the fact that it was so hurried and rushed that there's so much greatness in there that a second, third pass on that damn thing would have probably made it shine.
Yeah, and I guess to just I don't think we know whether if he was 9 weeks and he's I don't need any more, or if that was the deadline. So I could also just be if this was a thing where he only had this much time to write it and it wasn't his choice, then I apologize. Given that time limit, that's impressive.
It's just
if it's the other way, then it's not as impressive. I think that because of the whole fucking making the award and giving it to himself, I created a version of him that might not be accurate.
We just made up
and
that he
that's
rushed
the thing.
this.
So
That's what I'm just saying.
You're right. Look, I will say you're right. It does not change my feelings on the book.
And I have no problem
but
with those.
I shouldn't. I'm conjecturing too much.
Yeah, we just
and
are
I'm
talking
creating
too much
a
shit
thing.
on the man.
But
Yeah.
but the facts are the facts. There's 3 books written
These guys-
very quickly.
That they're written really quickly, and the motherfucker.
I feel like
created an award.
we're all being very much the same about like managing your expectations, the listener, about what these books are like. I just feel like us being like, this guy was just fucking turning in fucking dog shit. Like, I feel like we got to stop with that.
You're right. That's fair. That's fair. Just to finish off the Dan's, I do remember that Lando wasn't acting like Lando, like you guys were saying. He was just a space hero who happened to be named Lando. It really took
Lando.
the Star Wars out of it. And Lando not acting like a cool cat is like the biggest miss. Luke can act weird and still be Luke. Vader can be a little less evil and still be Vader. But Lando not acting like Billy D feels wrong on a fundamental level.
They just didn't know. They just didn't go with a Lando yet, is really what it was.
The titles of these books, regardless of content, are so good, though. I love weird subtitles. That's true.
I was so hyped about telling you guys what the names of these books were every time.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mind Harp of anything is also very good. Like, Mind Harp of Shrew, great. But, like, it could the Mind Harp of Florg 6, and it'd be like, yes!
Outside of Star Wars, like if this wasn't Star Wars, all this shit we're like back in 100.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We're like back in 100%. Like, if I don't have to relate this to Lando Calrissian, just the notion of this like harp and the fact that it was like a tessellation of itself was the key to itself, and that it's like this weird like hand thing that like changes reality as you strum it, and it like speaks into your brain. Like we were talking about the Gateway tapes in Chilluminati about how like vibrating your brain at different frequencies can like tune you into different things. There's so much cool shit there.
Is this around the same? No. When was that?
That's around the same time.
Yeah, technically.
It's just there's a lot of cool shit there, but it's just like, you know, it's plumbed in a very lighthearted sort of comedy way instead of being like, you know, a potentially amazing.
It's the same thing with the British comics, where they're like so off the mark of what Star Wars is, but as a concept are
sick
super
idea.
cool. Yeah.
Alan Moore, like gods that play around because they're so tired outside of existence, like just playing with Han, Luke, and Leia, like us, like we do, like play things.
If that was anyone else but Han, Luke, and Leia, that would be an amazing story.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's Han, Luke, and Leia, and you have all their baggage, and you're like, well, that's not really Star Wars.
And if you were writing the story naturally, you'd write it almost more like maybe like Lovecraft. You'd be like some journal of something that happened to me in space, but Han doesn't keep a journal, so you wouldn't write it with Han, Luke, and Leia in that way. You just put these like sort of Scooby-Doo gang people in there. Hey, compadres. Han here. Sorry, long time, no upload.
Let's close it out with one last fun question. Hey, guys. Love the show. I'm glad you're back. I'm not sure if you're aware of this little factoid, but in the UK edition of Daly's Han Solo trilogy, Bollocks is renamed Zollix. Probably because Bollocks sounds a little too close to bollocks, which is slang word us Brits use to describe our testicles, and is also used similarly to how Americans say bullshit. For example, the sequel trilogy is a load of bollocks, and then he gave a wink face. Oh, no, never mind. That's just a series of...
I'm going to tell you that it's my belief...
Not only did I think you might find this bollocks name change interesting, but it also made me wonder what other Star Wars character names would you change if you had the chance, and what would you change them to? Please feel free to read this comment and keep up the great work. Yoda is your father.
There's one character.
Right off the fucking bat, Savage fucking press.
Yeah.
And I would change it to literally any fucking
Michael
other
Davis.
things.
Michael
Savage
Adams.
Press
Michael Adams
might be the
Davis.
worst
If you
one.
like Clancy Javis, I'd be like, finally, a place where that name almost isn't the worst name.
Yeah,
Because that would be pretty disappointing if you could change Savage Press to anything and it ended up being Clancy Javis.
I'd be like,
Yeah. All right.
Truth be
I'm
told,
throwing out that monkey
the
paw.
monkey,
I'm tired of that shit.
truth be told, most of the Star Wars names are really, really fun.
Yeah.
Especially when you go back and you play, I think we were over at your house, Alex, the old pod racing game.
Oh.
All the pod racer names are hilarious.
Teamto Pagalis.
They're so good. Yeah, the most offensive ones are the ones where it's literally, here is my name, and my name is a word that exists
Bossy.
to describe me.
Bossy was pretty funny. I loved my favorite name from like this trilogy was Ot Defa Wet. I love that name. That's the most Star. That feels so good.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, like, Star Wars is such a good mixed bag. Like, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, they're like, and then you have like Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is like poetry. Or I don't know, Qui-Gon Jinn, Ot Defa Wet. Mara Jade is like a great name.
Yeah.
So is like Cal Kestis.
Jeff
That
Space
just
Fucker.
I'm Jeff, and I'm here to have zero gravity. Sex.
Yeah, like making a rogue named Talon Card rocks.
Yeah.
Talon Card is great.
Yeah, those like a lot of the names are fantastic, but
Nomi Sunrider is pretty derivative of Luke Skywalker.
yeah, there's definitely gonna be a time where we get in comics like early, not in creation like in the 80s, but like early in Star Wars universe when it's long ago, where there's gonna be some wild names that definitely
names that sound like they're in phlegm-based
a lot
languages.
of the Sith guys are gonna be crazy names.
Dude, the Frida Nad Uprising is like the second trade of Tales of the Jedi. Dude, we're about to eat in like 1 year's time.
I'm
though.
excited.
In 1 year's time, though, but we're about to eat.
we don't want to get you too hyped, is what we're saying. Not yet.
Yeah, like I like not jokingly, I do like Sauvage Opress is the worst.
It's the worst one.
It's like the worst name.
It's almost so bad that I like love it. Like it's so like when we found out about Darth Icky. Did you hear about that?
Is that
Who was I talking to about?
when there are some ones that are like named after like British punk rock people from, I think the era like when Luke is like dead and it's like his
Legacy of the Force
yeah.
or whatever. I don't know. Like, what were we talking about? Where somebody was like, "Yeah, George wanted to call him Darth Icky originally, and then they changed it at the last minute."
I have no idea.
I can't remember what it was, but Darth Icky. Like, there's something about George that it's like a joke to him. Like the names. Like I think he finds a level of like wryness in the names, like almost like how Dungeons and Dragons, like in like a module book or something, you'd find like, or like in Skyrim or Oblivion or Morrowind, you'd find those people that have like sort of like names that are just winks at the player.
You mean every name in World of Warcraft?
Yeah, like you know what I'm talking about. Like there's a level of there's like a tradition of this in fantasy literature.
Davis knows what's up.
But,
Every
but there's a
Warcraft
tradition of
character.
this in
As a
fantasy,
person that
fantasy
takes
literature.
it, like every character that I have is like has a backstory. They have like a name in universe. I have no patience for people that just put like
Patience.
like Sean,
world-
like either like their class at the end of it or just some
guy who's just
filthy
here to
like
hang
they
out.
got around the spam like the swear word filter by using a thing.
Yeah, it's like some like just unforgivable slur.
I think that you shouldn't be casual, people.
Yeah,
Be legit.
Be legit.
Too
don't be
legit,
casual.
too quick. In
Just
fact,
be legit. You don't be too legit. Just legit enough.
Here's the thing: you don't have to be legit. Just be respectful. Sure. Like if you show up somewhere and you're not legit, just know. That's all I want.
just be aware you aren't.
Yeah, that's
and accept it.
That's true. Like seriously, like think about how people talk about Americans, like in a travel situation. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be like some loud person that pisses everybody off and derives joy from being like the center of attention in a bad way, right? Just show up and be like, "Hey, I'm new. What do I have to learn?" Or, "Hey, maybe I won't say or do anything until somebody acts before me to show me how to act because I'm not from here." You know, that's how you be legit. That's legit. That's just as legit as being legit. Hell yeah.
Do you
be
think-
legit enough to quit.
Do you think Darth Maul was legit when he went back to his home world to pick up his brother, Savage Opress, and go around and try to take over the Empire from
my
Palpatine?
question is, what's his name? Because we know,
Darth
because
Maul.
we know that his brother's name is Savage Opress. So does that mean
You think
his
Opress is a family name?
Yeah, so do you think his name is like Deny Opress?
F that noise.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, like some
It's
shit
definitely D apostrophe N-A-I.
Yeah. Destroy Oppress. Like D parentheses D parentheses STROY close parentheses exclamation point. Destroy Oppress. The possibility of that landing in Davis's mind right now is just like
We broke him.
You want to know, like, I don't know. Thanks for this becoming therapy for me. Like, I hate that name, but I had a fucking giant ass statue of that guy living with me for years.
It meant something to you.
It meant that I had a lot of gift certificates, and it was the only full body figure that Gentle Giant had at the time. But
And you
I
just
think-
got it.
and you were
I
like,
think that-
charge it.
like everybody learned in Jurassic Park,
One?
I was so preoccupied with
Savage
whether I
Opress-
could stack all those
You
gift
should,
certificates.
yeah.
I never stopped to think whether I should.
Yeah.
Savage Press feels a little bit more like a Jurassic Park 3 type of idea, though.
Honestly, like, also back then, again, it was a different era. Like this is where we were, and you're right. Like he was Savage Opress, but maybe he'd become like Darth something better.
Yeah.
If anything,
Darth.
out of that, we got the greatest
Darth Tanus.
We got the greatest murder scene ever, where the Emperor killed that man. It was great. That was a fantastic scene in Clone Wars.
I really did.
I was so
it.
pleased. Yeah.
Darth Shittus. Darth Piss.
SH''T
Darth
US.
Poodoo.
Diarrhea. Keep your friends close and keep your droids closer. Guys, this has been another fantastic episode of Captain Tarpals' Sirius XM show from 2006. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys want more of this, please head over to patreon.com/SWOCBC for more. There's a lot of stuff there. There's watch-alongs. There's notes on every episode, outlines, all kinds of great stuff. And we're about to start Let's Plays. Video game Let's Plays are going to be there as well. So go there, check it out, get hype, get stoned. Did I say get stoned? I didn't mean to. Get stoned and read Star Wars books?
You mean like with your mind, like lift them? Because you're training?
4 hours of Carl Pilkington.
All Darbitos. Fucking straight
Honestly,
up violent
you'll need
music.
to get stoned if we were to be like, we're going to sit down here and we're not going to stop till we beat any one of the Super Star
You
Wars
can't
games.
beat him. You can't, dude.
It's never gonna happen.
No,
I'll
we're
be like,
gonna
give me
do
that
it.
six-pack.
We're gonna do it. I got a save state. I custom installed a save state on my SNES.
We're never gonna beat that game unless we have a invincibility mod.
Nah, we'll do it.
It's never happened.
Nah, I've done it.
Dude,
I've
you've
done
beaten Super Empire Strikes Back. You're a liar.
I've beaten all three of them.
You're a
You just
liar.
need to fall into the Force.
I've beaten all three of them. It took me like all summer, but I'll do it.
I don't believe this. I don't.
Get ready for a 20-hour Let's Play.
I never thought.
Actually,
of you as a liar
we're not
before. I
even.
didn't
We're
know
not
this.
even. We're not even at. Like we're not even. Like the games that we're about to play are like too old.
Super Return of the Jedi.
That's not even in
Bouncing
the.
around in the desert.
Yeah, it's not even in the list.
Liar.
It's not even in the list of the
I
first
refuse
couple
to
games.
believe this.
The last level's Endor. It's tight. There's another speeder bike chase. You'll see it. You'll see it.
Is that what it's called? End?
Damn.
Or?
Oh my God! Speaking of indoors, get us the fuck out of here.
Last movie. Oh my god.
Thank you so much for
We're done.
listening. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time on an episode about some video games. Bye.
Get it? It's like End or.
Yeah.
Is it? Is it really the end?
Alone
Because
Again
there's
or
there's more stuff after it.
by Love. The song.
That's why we have this
Yep.
podcast.
Yeah.
Kisses.